This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network. Welcome back to the BCSN SportWrap. Bryan and A.D. I want to remind you, make sure to follow us on social media at MyBCSN1, Instagram, Twitter. Find us on Facebook. Find us individually on Twitter. You can find Drew at BCSN Drew. Find me at DRB365. Make sure you download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Go to your Google or Apple Play Store. Search MyJBN or MyBCSN, and that's where you will find the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Every time we have a show that we upload, you will get a notification. And you'll also get notifications whenever Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab drops their shows. They are now scheduled regularly Tuesday and Thursday evenings, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And every now and then they might just decide to drop a Sunday morning broadcast, right? Is that how that works, Drew?
That's how it works. And then don't forget about this Sunday afternoon, Brian.
This Sunday afternoon. I'm clueless. What's going on this Saturday afternoon, Drew?
A special edition of the 1400 Club.
Really?
With the pregame with the Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State game being moved to Sunday, they will have a special pregame show, Brian. The
pregame show.
Halftime show. THEE.
Right.
The halftime show and the postgame show. And I'm emphasizing the E in the.
Nice. Good work there by the 1400 Club. Of course, those guys covering Jackson State athletics and just Jackson State in general. Very, very good show. And we've got more of those kind of things coming down the pipe. So we hope you continue to consume our content. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever possible. Share them with a friend or two, especially if you have an alum who's a friend. Share it to them as well. And then, of course, go to myjbn.com/support, and that's where you can donate a dollar or two, $5, $10, a little bit more, whatever you want to do, so that way we can keep this thing moving. Speaking of keeping it moving, Drew, Players of the Year. Now, I'm not talking about the BCSN Players of the Year. That'll be coming up a little bit later. But Conference Players of the Year. And I'm going to first take issue with something that was done on a Friday evening, Friday afternoon. Now, there's this little thing about Friday afternoons that I don't know if it's a well-known thing or it's just a joke in certain circles. But whenever there's a press release or whether there's something that is released on a Friday afternoon,
Friday news dump.
It's always been referred to, or at least recently, more commonly known as the Friday news dump, because considerably you can drop it out there on a Friday. People at that time in the afternoon are already checking out, ready to go to the weekend. You got a bunch of other things usually that are coming up on the weekend. You don't want to take a lot of questions or field many calls about it. So you drop it on a Wednesday or a Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, just a couple hours before your office is closed. It's gone in the wind. Nobody's talking about it because something else happened over the weekend. If you're lucky, nobody remembers it on Monday or Tuesday of the following week. and it kind of goes unnoticed. For the life of me, right? That's how we all think of the news dump, correct? Am I off on that at all?
Oh, you hit it on the head, man.
So why in the world would a conference release their players of the year, the coach of the year, the defensive player of the year, the rookie of the year? Why would you release all of that information on Friday afternoon around 2:15? Drew, can you help me understand why that would happen?
Got to keep that quiet, bro.
So that is what, sadly, that's what the MEAC did on a Friday afternoon, March 5th. Given the fact that their conference, the tournament doesn't even start till Thursday. They could have released this on Monday, could have released this information on Tuesday. Didn't have to be on Friday afternoon, unless I'm missing something. So if I am, my apologies. But otherwise, I don't understand what we're doing. But anyway, all credit to Coppin State for taking home 3 of the 4 major awards, and by a pair of brothers, actually. Even more spectacular than the fact that it was one school that did all this. Coppin State redshirt senior guard Anthony Tark was named the player of the year and the defensive player of the year. His brother, Ninda Tark, was the rookie of the year. And it's the first time in MEAC history where brothers have swept the conference honors. I don't know if you heard, did you hear when was the last time a player took the player of the year and defensive player of the year? Did you hear anything about that?
No, I had not heard anything about that, but that's just, that's like Jordan-esque, for lack of a better words, because I remember him doing it in the league, and that was such a rarity when he did it in the league. When somebody does this on any level, I don't care if it's YMCA level or college basketball, pro basketball, it's just amazing.
Right. Anthony Tark, a 6'6" redshirt senior from Gaithersburg, Maryland. Of course, he is a Lou Henson Award nominee, which is the mid-major player of the year. He leads the Coppin State Eagles in practically every statistical category, very similar to that guy down at Xavier, Rayshawn Mart, who does that for his team. Tark leads the conference in total points, rebounding, double-doubles, defensive rebounds, blocks per game, steals, free throws made, and free throws attempted. He's the only player in the nation to average at least 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals per game. He ranks 3rd in the MEAC in points per game average, 16.4. So, I mean, obviously, Tark, one of the best players in the conference, and defensively, he won 8. He got 8 votes for Defensive Player of the Year. He was the Player of the Week twice. Oh, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. He won 8 MEAC Defensive Player of the Week awards. That's a better way to say it. So basically, 8 times during the year, he was the Defensive Player of the Week. He nearly had a triple-double against UNC Greensboro when he had a career-high 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists, while adding 4 blocks and 4 steals. Most notably, Tark had the nation's only 5x5 game on January 5th against Delaware State. He recorded 13 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 steals, 5 blocks. That's the 5x5 that we're talking about. So Coppin State, of course, ended up as the 1 seed in the North, which is a credit to them and Coach Juan Dixon. Now his brother, who's a freshman this year, averaged 9.6 points, 4.7 rebounds, 1.7 steals. Good year. How about Robert McCullum, Florida A&M, Coach of the Year in his 4th season at FAMU, who guided FAMU to a 7-4 record in the MEAC South Division the final year. Of course, last year FAMU had a good record, I believe, going into the regular season, but unfortunately they were on a suspension or probation. So, I mean, think about what Coach McCullum has done. He's led FAMU out of these dark years and into the tournament. And I think FAMU will be in a very good place as they get ready to head to the SWAC under the direction of Robert McCullum. The first team consisted of Anthony Tark, DeJuan Clayton, who is Tark's teammate at Coppin State. How about Troy Baxter from Morgan State, 6'9" senior from out of Tallahassee, CJ Kaiser of North Carolina Central, and then MJ Randolph, the junior from FAMU. I'm a little surprised. You know, there's a couple of Morgan State guys that I thought might have got in ahead of CJ Kaiser. I think North Carolina Central didn't really, the number of games they played, you know, they got hit with COVID for about 2 weeks and they've lost several games. But CJ Kaiser is a legitimate baller. Now, don't get me wrong. I think he's well deserving, but I was surprised that one of the guys from Morgan, like Datorian Ware or Malik Miller, didn't get in ahead of him. But it is, it kind of is what it is there. And then, Drew, the latest news that we got, you know, once the tournament started, is that the number 1 seed, North Carolina A&T Aggies, are actually not even going to get a chance to play their first game due to a COVID-related issue. What are your thoughts on that?
We saw it in the GCAC tournament when we had teams bounce out of the GCAC tournament. We knew it was going to happen. Unfortunately, it happened to another one of our teams. We've seen it on the big boy level this week with Duke bowing out in the ACC tournament. So, right. And you and I were talking offline on this. I think once we get through the conference tournaments, I don't think we're going to see it when we get to the NCAA level because, you know, there's testing upon testing upon testing. These teams are tested every day in these conference tournaments now. So if something is going to happen, it's going to happen at this level because as of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever these conference tournaments are over, these teams are going straight to Indiana and are quarantining in Indiana, whichever. And once the brackets are announced on Sunday, they will go to the various parts of the state where they will be playing their opening round games at. So I really don't see it happening beyond this week. Teams have just have to survive this particular week. The only thing that may concern me are those couple of teams that conference tournaments ended on like Monday or Tuesday, because some of those kids will have had the opportunity to return back to campus. But I really don't see too much more of this happening beyond maybe Friday, maybe the end of it. You seeing teams dealing with this situation.
Yeah, well, I hope not. It pretty much sucks for A&T. They're very similar to what happened. You mentioned the big boys, Duke. After winning a couple of games, gets knocked out due to COVID. A team not far from them in Greensboro, North Carolina A&T, gets knocked out. You know, it's tough, man. It's tough. I almost feel like, look, could there have been better protocols? Do you really need to test? can you rely on symptoms? I think once you start testing, of course, you open Pandora's box. To have somebody test positive, and then if you then go apply contact tracing rules, well, now everybody's out. So I don't know. It just sucks that right on the eve of, I mean, you're already at 6 teams, you know, and it's like, damn, now you're down to 5, and the winner of Norfolk State and North Carolina Central advances. It should be Norfolk State. You know, they get a shot to. It's just crazy, man. I tell you, the MEAC can't catch a break. Every time they take 2 steps forward, they take it's like a 1.5 step kicking the legs. Almost said somewhere else, but it's just, man, it's been rough. It's been rough. Seems to be
a kick in the privates.
Yeah, it's just been tough for the MEAC, man. Let me jump over to the women's real quick. The women's players, conference players of the week. I thought this was an interesting race. The player of the year is Jayla Thornton from Howard. The defensive player of the year is Anissa Rivera from North Carolina Central. Both of those young ladies have been our BCSN players of the week throughout the year. I know I'm going to mess her name up. I already caught myself. I'm trying to say it right. Anjanae Hutton. I think I said that right. Anjanae Hutton of Howard is the rookie of the year. And then Coach Ty Grace of Howard is the coach of the year. And I will say this. Thornton became the MEAC's all-time three-point shooter. And she's second in free throw percentage, 4th in 3-pointers per game. Good stats. Scored a season high 29 against Richmond. Plays on the team that has the most wins. So she is a definite leader of her team. But that is a good team. I mean, I think they have 3 or 4 girls on that team who really average anywhere from 14 to 10 points a game. But in terms of the flat out maybe best player statistically, it's hard to be anybody other than Rivera. I think I wrote this in our article when I went back and looked at Rivera. And I want to make sure I get it all here because I spent time looking at this, so I don't want to leave anything out here. Rivera, come on, find it. Where's that, Drew? If I can't find it, I'm just gonna have to read what's here on the MEAC site. But I thought what I wrote out was pretty much better. Okay, Rivera.
Of course you did.
Led the conference in scoring average, rebounding average. So she averaged 16.1 a game, 10.2 rebounds per game. She led the conference in defensive rebounds total, defensive rebound average, block shots total, block shots average. I mean, think about those stats right there. And she had a MEAC high, I'm looking at this from their website, a MEAC high 8 double-doubles on the season. The only thing that hurt Rivera is that her team was 4-11. So, look, she won the Defensive Player of the Year, well-deserved. But I think you can make a strong argument that Anissa Rivera probably might have been Player of the Year, could have been Player of the Year, had it not been for her team's record. 4-11, 2-6 overall. 4-11 overall, 2-6 in the conference. What are your thoughts on the women's superlatives? Do you feel me on that, Rivera? Do you how does that shake out for you?
Unless you have, and she had good stats, but she did not have, and I hate to use this word again, Jordan-esque stats. she would have probably had to have had averaged about 25 points and 15 rebounds in order for her to get Player of the Year on a losing team. Almost like Andre Dawson did with the Chicago Cubs back in 1987. That would have been the type of stuff that she would have had to have done.
That's interesting that you broke it down that way. Let me jump over to I think what's even just as debatable, or could be as debatable, is the Swacs Men's Player of the Year and the Women's Player of the Year. Okay, for the SWAC men, it was Tristan Jarrett who was the Player of the Year. His teammate Javius McInnes was the Defensive Player of the Year. Michael Weathers of Texas Southern was the Newcomer of the Year. Southern's Terrell Williams was the Freshman of the Year. And Prairie View A&M's Byron Smith was voted as the Coach of the Year. I think we know the numbers. Jarrett was leading. He led the league in scoring, averaged 20.3 points a game. He ranked 10th in the league in rebounds per game, 3rd in free throw percentage, 5th in field goal percentage. Obviously, Jackson State, best team in the co-champs, rather. And I won't say they had the best record, but they were co-champs. And then McInnes, I believe McInnes is ranked nationally in terms of rebounds. I know he is first in the conference in rebounds per game, but I think he may even be top 5 nationally. But he ranks 9th in the league in points per game, 1st in rebounds per game with 13. So he averages a 12-13 mix. So that's a double-double. Free throw percentage, he's 10th in the league. He's 1st in blocks, 6th in minutes. Well deserving. But I will say there's a young man from Prairie View A&M by the name of Jawan Daniel, who was the second team All SWAC. And I guess let me go back. I guess the first team All SWAC consists of Jarrett, Michael Weathers from Texas Southern, Troymaine Crosby of Alcorn State, Cam Mack of Prairie View, Sean Doss Jr. of UAPB. McInnes from Jackson State is on the second team, which is crazy to me, even though he's the Defensive Player of the Year. And Jawan Daniels, who, when you go look at the stats for Jawan Daniels, it's hard to argue Jawan Daniels not being the Player of the Year. And just so happens, Drew, on Daniels' first game in the SWAC tournament, all he does is go out and score a season high in the conference, 36 points in a win over, I believe, Prairie View played, who they play in the first round, Drew? Alcorn? It was either Alcorn or...
Gotta go back to yesterday's article. Give me a second, Ryan.
Yeah.
Prairie View play.
Cam Mack for Prairie View is actually one of the leaders in the
Valley.
country.
Prairie View played Valley.
Yeah. So they played Valley. The second team. So, I mean, look, I felt like that was a message game. That was him letting folks know, you put me on second team, that's ridiculous. I mean, Jawan Daniels, I don't know what the stats, I don't know what the not the stats, but the vote totals were. But I would implore the SWAC to release the voting numbers for your Player of the Year votes. Like, how close of a vote was it between Tristan Jarrett and, say, maybe Michael Weathers or Jawan Daniels? Did Javius McInnes, did he take any votes away from Tristan Jarrett? What do you say?
Yeah.
I thought you said something.
I'm glad that Tristan Jarrett's public. I would say I'm glad Tristan Jarrett's public blow up did not really affect his superlatives at the end of the season.
Right, and that's another thing I was kind of curious about, to be honest, whether that walk-off incident at Southern would, how that would play out to the media. I got to believe somebody took a vote away from him for that. I mean, I just can't see everybody being cool with the fact that he did that. I can't. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. All right, let's jump over to the women. And this was tough. This had to be tough because I think the 5 women on the all SWAC first team, you could have made an argument that each of these ladies are deserving of Player of the Year. The Player of the Year actually ends up being Deja Rogan of Jackson State. Her teammate, Amisha Williams, Defensive Player of the Year. Her coach, Khadijah Brown of UAPB, the newcomer of the year, and Alabama State's Farrah Pearson was the freshman of the year. Alabama State's Frida Freeman Jackson was the SWAC coach.
Back up. Is it the second year in a row that Williams was Defensive Player of the Year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. She had a stretch, Williams did, where I think her point totals and her double-doubles dropped. I know she was a candidate for the Lisa Leslie Center of the Year, but I think her point production dropped, and she just kind of had some average games, which I think that hurt her in the running. But you had the pair from Jackson State. How about the 2 young ladies from Alabama State, Shamaya Ward and Ayana Emanuel, who first game in the tournament, they combined for 60 points. I mean, those 2 ladies, you talk about taking votes from each other. If those 2, can you imagine how do you vote which one is more valuable? I mean, I know we had a tough time just deciding during some of the players of the weeks who had the better impact. I mean, it was that tough. And then there was Dariana Lewis from Alabama A&M. I mean, I'm
surprised she just sneak in and beat everybody because everybody else was taking votes away from teammates.
That's my point exactly. I saw. Now I don't know what the final score was of the Alabama A&M women's SWAC tournament game today, as of this recording. But I know through 3 quarters she had 21 points and 16 rebounds through 3 quarters, and I was like, "Geez." I mean, she's a beast. She's a hell of a player. So I don't know. I don't know if I've got to look and see whether you may be able to pull this up quickly as I'm talking. Whether
I'm looking. Continue to talk.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether Alabama A&M won. But I'll just say this. It had to be doggone tough. I'm just glad that all 5 of those ladies made the first team because they really were exceptional players. And then Khadijah Brown of UAPB, probably if there should have been a 6th first team player, it's her. She really had a great season. And it's just a shame that there was no more room for her on the first team, given the success that the other 5 ladies had. So want to give a shout out. This I would love some transparency. So I'll just say that to the SWAC and their SWAC people, some transparency.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1. All right. So do we have what do we have scores? Do you have the score update from that? I will say this while you're still looking. Let me finish the MEAC. I will read the men's stuff, Drew, while you're doing that.
Was it on the SWAC page? On that.
You say that again. I
see.
Let me look while you're looking.
Grambling won 58-50.
Okay, and what was the stat line for Lewis?
20-20. 21 points, 20 rebounds.
Wow. So that makes her the what is that? How many 2020s have there been now? That makes her the I
want to say that's 5. That's number 5 on the season if I'm going correct off the top of my head.
Number 5 on the year, 4 of them from women, correct? Yes, I think so. I don't know if you can hear me. You sound.
Let's see. Glover has 2. Williams has 1, I believe.
Wait a minute. Who was that? You said it again?
Williams from Jackson State, I believe, has 1.
Yes. Glover has 2, and
Lewis now has 1.
Yeah.
And there was another one somewhere in there.
From West Virginia State, I think it was.
Yes.
Pittman from West Virginia State, probably.
Yes. And for Grambling, Ariel Williams has 15 points and 11 rebounds with a double-double. Alexis Holt-led Grambling.
Williams has come on really, really strong as of late. She had a good week last week, so it doesn't surprise me that she had a good game in that game.
Alexis Holt-led Grambling with 17 points.
So set up the semifinals matchups for the women.
Let's see. We have. I'm navigating between a couple of pages here. So we have Grambling. No, that's on the men's side. I'm sorry. Let me go to the women's side. We have Grambling versus Southern, I believe. I believe Southern won the game earlier today.
I believe.
And no, I got the matchups wrong though. Grambling will play Alabama State. Southern will play Jackson State. That's just a final match on the women's side.
Okay. All right. And then on the men's side.
And as of right now, we're awaiting the Grambling State Southern score.
Okay. And then on the in the MEAC, just to kind of set that up, we've got Norfolk State, who was the 2 seed in the South, women, defeating Coppin State's women 56-45. Morgan State's women beating North Carolina Central women 74-64. So that sets up number 2 Norfolk State of the South taking on Howard of the North. That'll be an interesting game. That'll be a good game. Norfolk State, not the same Norfolk State team from the last couple seasons that have kind of ran, had their way through the tournament, but still it's the program and the coaching that'll make for a good matchup. And then you've also got Morgan State versus North Carolina A&T. That will be a good ball game. So we've got a pair of 1 versus 2s in the women's semifinal. On the men's side, semifinal matchup, you've got Morgan State versus Coppin State for the 5th time, the Battle of Baltimore. You might do part 5. I don't even know what part. I don't know how you do part 2 or whatever. It is part 5. That's all it is, part 5. And then, of course, I believe, let me just double check the live stats here. I believe Norfolk State is the team that advances to the championship round because of North Carolina A&T basically being out as of this recording. Norfolk
That
State.
is correct. Norfolk. Yes, it's Norfolk.
Well, it's not final though, but they're up by 30 though.
It's not final. Yes.
Yeah, they're up 30, so it'll be Norfolk State. Sharp shooting by the by
a miracle.
Norfolk State. I mean, Norfolk State shooting 13 of 27 from the 3-point arc. My goodness. Ugh. Talk about glad to be at home in scope. That is Norfolk State. So, all right. So that's sort of the basketball. Anything basketball related that we forgot? Because I want to make sure we cover everything with basketball before we finish the show with football.
Let's get to the pigskin.
All right. So with the football, obviously the past weekend, 4 good games. Really 4 good games. Well, let me rephrase that. 3 good games, 2 blowouts. Let's start with the games that were actually competitive, went down to the wire. What's the bigger game, Drew? Now, both of these games, road team goes on the road, hasn't won at that place or against that team since 2012. We're talking SWAC matchups. You got Jackson State traveling to Grambling, UAPB traveling to Southern. Double-digit underdogs. UAPB was a double-digit, I think, 10 or 11-point underdog. Jackson State, surprisingly, was a 10 or 11-point underdog. Both teams come out with wins. One was a little more dominating than the other. Jackson State, in a back-and-forth contest against Grambling, ends up scoring let me see. How'd this work? How'd this play out? Jackson State had a chance to go up by at least 2 scores, fumbled going into the end zone. Grambling recovers. Then Grambling turns around, goes practically on what was supposed to be an 80-yard drive. They probably go about 77 yards, 78 yards, all the way to like first and goal at the 2 and fumble. Our defensive player of the year, we'll talk about him in just a minute, ends up forcing the fumble. But
of the week.
Oh, excuse me, of the week.
Of the week.
Yeah, of the week. Forces a fumble, but Aubrey Miller.
Year.
Transfer of the year. Yeah, might be the year. Who knows the way this one went. He forced a fumble. Keontae Hampton recovers it. And this is all within like the final minute of the game. And Jackson State gets the win, 33-28. A very impressive win for Jackson State. But is it more impressive than UAPB, Arkansas Pine Bluff, going on the road, beating Southern the way they beat them, 33-10? They outscored Southern 23-7 in the second quarter. UAPB's defense had their way with Southern, 3 interceptions, a fumble recovery, a safety. They basically forced Southern into their second quarterback after about one quarter of play. How would you rate the two, Drew? Which was the bigger upset?
UAPB was the bigger upset. You could see Jackson State beating Grambling.
Sure.
That even though that was a shot to the Graham fam, you could see that happening. How many people had UAPB beating Southern? Now, go back to my preseason predictions. I had UAPB as one of my teams to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to make some noise in the SWAC. So it does not surprise me personally, but to the average fan, yes. And let's be real. When it comes to SWAC, there are certain teams that should not lose to certain teams, and Southern should not be losing to UAPB. Matter of fact, talking to Carlos Brown, there's a lot of chatter going down in Baton Rouge about Southern football right now due to that loss. And given the fact that Southern is on a bye, it is 2 weeks of misery for those around Jaguar Nation.
Wow. Already, huh? It already has started, huh? It is spring football.
Yeah.
Don't tell me spring football doesn't matter.
They talking about they talking about the coach. They talking about the quarterback. They talking about the DC. They talking about everybody over there in Baton Rouge.
Well, look, I maintain I don't think Southern has found what they want from the quarterback position. I really don't. I don't think they have. I don't think they quite got the guy who's going to take them to that level. And yes, I know Ladarius Skelton has had a pair of good seasons, but I think they've been a bit inconsistent. You know, we've seen flashes of good games, but we've seen the games where we look in a conference where a guy like the Alcorn quarterback Felix Harper comes off the bench and becomes the player of the year. How do you let that happen if you were Ladarius Skelton? You know, that's kind of what I look at, right? And so Southern went to John Lampley, who now this young man went out there, he threw 20 of 33, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw 3 interceptions, all coming in he started the second quarter. So in basically 3 quarters of play. You know, so.
Yeah. Now, I saw an interesting graphic on one of the SWAC message boards on Facebook talking about when things started going south for Southern, and it referenced the Celebration Bowl when A&T beat Southern. Southern was winning at about an 85% clip for those years going into that Celebration Bowl. And then all of a sudden,
what Celebration Bowl?
Was it Celebration Bowl, baby? I'm sorry, not Celebration Bowl, SWAC championship.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say they haven't
When
been.
Southern was in when Southern was last in the SWAC championship. I stand correct. You're right. It was SWAC championship.
Well, that was last
when they
year.
Lost Alton.
They've lost the last two.
No. It was it was when they lost the first time they lost in the SWAC championship to Alcorn. I believe that's been 3 years ago now, Brian.
Okay, maybe.
But they were winning at about an 85% clip before that, and now they're a 500 team pretty much since then.
Wow.
So just thought it was an interesting reference point.
Well, don't tell me SWAC football doesn't matter. I know it's spring. I know we don't have full capacity. I know we don't have halftime shows. We don't have the 5th quarter. We don't have the visiting bands. I get all that. We don't have any of that stuff. But still, you
have a scoreboard. You have a
scoreboard. You've got uniforms. You've got football, in my opinion. And it's been pretty doggone good. Shout out to quarterback Skylar Perry for UAPB, 22 of 37, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then he ran 8 times for 64 yards, which was a team high, and had 2 touchdowns rushing, accounted for 4 touchdowns. A good day for UAPB on both sides, and even in the special teams game. As our offensive player of the week turned out to be Skylar Perry. The defensive player of the week was Aubrey Miller of Jackson State, who had 18 tackles, tackle for loss, and then, of course, the game-changing forced fumble. And then our special teams of the week was Josh Sanchez, who had 6 punts for a total of 282 yards, which was an average of 47 per punt. 67 was the longest one. He had 3 punts inside the 20, 2 punts went 50-plus yards, and had 1 touchback. I thought that was a pretty good day for Sanchez, just from the standpoint that it field position. Field position became a problem for Southern in the course of that game and really hurt them. I mean, hell, one of the safeties were even off of field position as a result of a punt and then a penalty. So, props to those guys. Definitely. Yeah. How about some love? Shout out to UAPB, the Golden Lion Nation. We put that tweet out amidst a busy day earlier this week, and I still get pings and notifications as UAPB folks have really shown out for their guys, Skylar Perry and Sanchez. The other 2 games, Drew, you had Prairie View, who actually built up a lead, 13-0 lead over Texas Southern. Then they gave up 19 straight points, and Texas Southern looked like they were about to get a win. And then Prairie View snatched that win from them with a go-ahead touchdown with 1:40 left to play. So the Labor Day, what do you call it? The Labor Day Classic in March. What is that called?
The St. Patrick's Day, the going back to work day, the spring cleaning classic.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hard Labor Day. So that's how that. And I guess you got to say it's pretty encouraging.
I got one more. The got to get this OT day classic.
Okay.
When the boss called you for some OT.
Yeah. Texas Southern has I got to be really impressed with Texas Southern. I mean, Prairie View was a 21.5 point favorite or 20-point favorite. And so Texas Southern pushed that game and took care of business. Alabama A&M and South Carolina State, the Battle of the Bulldogs, a MEAC SWAC showdown. Alabama A&M routed South Carolina State. South Carolina State was a 10-point favorite, Drew. Unbelievable the way Vegas had these lines in this week. So Alabama A&M won that game 31-7. I saw a video from some B-roll by HBCU Game Day. Man, look, the level of smack talking by Alabama A&M was on next level. That's all I'm going to tell you. They talked that whole game. The whole game.
Yeah. I'm just happy to see that the SWAC has won a MEAC SWAC challenge, be it unofficial, but that the SWAC has finally gotten one in.
Yeah, it's been a while since they won one of those, right?
Yeah, since they won anything between the 2 conferences, MEAC SWAC challenge and or Celebration Bowl. I'm just glad the SWAC got one in.
Right. The other game that took place over that weekend, Tennessee State against Jacksonville State. The Tennessee State Tigers, now they had just come off of a 27-20 loss the week before to Austin Peay. And these are Ohio Valley games. So this is only Ohio Valley Conference games. This week, they were not it didn't stay as close as Jacksonville State won that game 38-16. So looks like the Ohio Valley is playing their games on Sunday. If I look at the schedule from the last 2 weeks and this upcoming week, something to take note of. Those of you who like to play in the dark arts, the underdog over the last 2 weeks in these HBCU games, the underdog is 7-1. 7-1. Just take that in note. Underdog 7-1. The over/under has gone under 6-2. 6 of the 8 games have gone under the total. So just something to pay attention to coming into this week for those of you who like that kind of stuff. Let me set up this week's games, Drew. Maybe share a thought if you would. We've got Saturday. We've got Delaware State traveling to South Carolina State. MEAC showdown. South Carolina State is a 10-point favorite, according to a lot of the Vegas lines. Massey predicts this as a 7-point win for South Carolina State, something in the range of 24-17. I think it was a low-scoring game. Delaware State Howard played previously. That was a low-scoring game, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't take down what the over-under was on that game. If you have I'll ask if you tell me your thoughts on that game. If you have a thought, I can look it up real quick. Otherwise, I can keep moving. I don't know if you have a thought per se on that game.
Keep rolling because I've got another thought that I was going to go with. Another general thought. Okay.
Looks like the over-under is 40. I found it. 42.5, 43. So somewhere between 42.5 and 43.5. So again, Massey predicts the score 24-17. The other Saturday game, Prairie View A&M is a 2.5-point road favorite at Grambling. 2.5-point favorite at Grambling. That's on Saturday. I did not, I wasn't sure that game was happening, so I didn't get a chance to go check the Massey numbers for that one. On Sunday, 2 games on Sunday.
Which game was that, Brian? I'm sorry. I lost you there.
That was you had Prairie View as a -2.5, a road favorite going to Grambling State.
On this Saturday.
Yeah, that's this Saturday. The 2 Sunday games are Tennessee State, who's 0-2, and they will be a 2-point favorite against Eastern Illinois, who's also 0-2. And Massey sees this as a 3-point win for Tennessee State. That's what the Massey ratings has this one at. And so that's on Sunday. And then the main Sunday game, this one will be on ESPN2. Mississippi Valley State, finally, hopefully, done with COVID, taking on Jackson State. No line yet, but Massey sees this as a 10-point Jackson State win by a score of 31-21.
And Brian, did you get Delaware State, South Carolina State on Saturday in the MEAC?
Yes. Yes. What about it? What about it?
No, I must not have heard you that one.
Okay. Yeah. So my count.
So Brian,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go say what you're gonna say.
No, I was just gonna say we've only got 4 games this upcoming week, so I that's all I was gonna mention.
2 Saturday, 2 Sunday.
Correct. All right. So what were you? Where were you?
So my point is, Brian, is this possibly, arguably, maybe one of the greatest HBCU sports weekends ever? You've got 9 basketball games on Friday. You've got a minimum of 3 basketball games on Saturday, including 2 conference championship games, and then 2 football games on Saturday. And then you've got another 2 football games on Sunday. Sprinkle in all of the other sports that are going on in HBCUs: baseball, softball, track, tennis, golf, bowling, volleyball. Brian, Bryan, is this possibly not the greatest weekend ever in HBCU sports?
Ever? No,
Ever.
I can't go as far as saying ever. It is pretty big. Don't get me wrong. Pretty big, no doubt. I think the fact that you've got NCAA, you got NAIA, you got those games going on. How about the indoor track and field championship going on as well?
Six NAIA games going on, one NCAA game, and then three five NAIA games, one NCAA Division II game, and then I counted that wrong. You've got four. You've got additional five. You got 11 games.
Okay,
stop. You got 11 games going on.
Stop. You thrown out so many damn numbers. Anyone listening is like, what in the hell are y'all talking about? You thrown out a million different games. So let's rewind. Let's get it straight.
Okay.
What are you saying? Because let's clean it up for somebody.
Okay, you've got two NAIA women games. Xavier women play. Langston women play Friday.
Yes. Okay.
Correct. You've got three NAIA men's games. Xavier, Stillman, Voorhees play on Friday.
No, it would be Talladega instead of Stillman. Stillman would play on Saturday.
Yeah, you're correct. Talladega. And I said Stillman got to buy. I flip flop those. Right. So you've got three of those three games. That brings you to five. You've got Tuskegee.
Yes.
Which is 6.
Okay.
You've got the SWAC semifinals, men and women. Those will be 2 games each.
Yep.
That will be 10. And then you've got a semifinal in the 2 semifinals in the MEAC women, which would be 12. And then 1 men's semifinal, which would be 13.
Damn. That's all
13 basketball games.
That's all on Friday.
That's all on Friday. 13 basketball games. Yes, 13 basketball games on Friday.
Can we get all that? Can we get that on a list and get that put out? That's a lot. That'd have been a great graphic to be able to show.
That's a lot of time.
But you just thought of this off the top of your head, so we can't put this into a graphic.
I just thought of this off the top of your head as we were going through this.
All right, let me read.
Then Saturday, we know we got the men.
What?
I was gonna go on the Saturday where you got the SWAC men and women championship.
Yes.
You got the MEAC men and women championship. Yeah. And we know that Stillman plays in the NAIA, so we got a minimum of 5 basketball games.
Right.
We haven't even had a team that won in the NAIA on Friday that makes it to Saturday. The same thing with Tuskegee women. We haven't even added those games into the mix. And then you've got another 2 football games going on. You got the NCAA indoor championships.
Okay, you convinced me, Drew. Yes, this other than a regular Friday, next to a regular Saturday in the fall, this may be the best weekend of HBCU sports in forever that I can remember.
At least in modern history. And then you cap it off with 2 more football games on Sunday, in addition to all the other activities that go on.
Which good luck trying to put that calendar together, because we just came up with this on the top of our head. It won't
happen. It won't happen, but it won't be printed by us. Because time is not our friend.
What won't be printed by us? You just came up with this list. You're not going to put this out. You're going to put this on wax. You just did all this off the cuff of your head. So
I just put it on wax. I just don't know if I will be able to put it to pen to paper.
take a 5-hour energy and put this on paper. Come on now. Suck it up.
My 5-hour energy is gonna be my 5-hour energy is gonna be next to my pillow.
Oh my God. Drew, give me one upset or give me one big game that's gonna happen this weekend as we close. Give me something big that's gonna happen. Give me an upset. Come on now. I don't have all day. So if you can't think of something quickly, we're just gonna have to close this out and you have to tweet it.
Xavier will make it to Saturday. I'm not gonna say men or women, but Xavier will make it to Saturday.
Okay. Xavier will make it to Saturday. All right. That's cute.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with come on now, that's it. Okay, stop. Now I'm gonna go with
I'm done.
I'm gonna go with Howard Bison women upsetting. I don't know if you want to call it an upset, but as I said in my article,
that Brian, that number one in the North. That's not that you can't consider them an upset. You got to pick somebody in the North.
I'd say that it's an upset because North Carolina A&T is the favorite. They are predicted to
and Howard's the number 2. So that I don't
Well, look, I can't hear your phone reception. Kind of went dead there, so I'm going to call it an upset. Look, your audio is going bad, so I can't hear you right now or anything you just said. So all I'm going to say is that it's not I'm calling it an upset. I put it down in writing. I wrote it down, and that's what I'm sticking with. That North Carolina A&T, who is the prohibitive favorite to win the MEAC, will end up losing to Howard Bison. Now, my big upset already has been taken off the board. So I want to say that first off, because I predicted FAMU to win the MEAC tournament. Unfortunately, Florida A&M men lost by 2 points to Morgan State. So that was my original upset. So, okay, can I be off the hook for that? That was my original upset.
I need you to pick somebody in the bottom half.
I just picked upset, come on,
Xavier is number 3. Both Xavier teams are number 3 in their pod. That's why that's an upset.
I picked Florida A&M. They were plus
and they're already done. So I need you to pick a new one.
So technically, I should be off the hook, and I should be able to give you my second upset, which was what I just said it was.
Howard is not an upset. I'm not gonna let you. You got to pick a team in the bottom half of wherever they are. Be it SWAC, be it the MEAC, as far as the ratings, the odds, something.
If I say Stillman,
give me somebody below the Mendoza line.
To the champions of the Sweet 16, is that enough? If I say Stillman advances to the Sweet 16, is that enough?
No.
Well, damn it.
Stillman's the number 1.
That's what I'm riding with. You get off me on this one, man. You know,
Stillman's the number 1. I need I need a 2 or a 3. I need a 3 in the NAIA. I need a 2 in the NAIA. Come on, you got Langston out there. You got Voorhees out there.
Your football one.
You've got Tuskegee women as a 5 seed.
I'm gonna give you. How about this? I'm gonna give you a football.
Okay, give me a football one then.
Take Delaware State plus the 10 points against South Carolina State. How about that?
I give you that one.
All right, there you go. Delaware State plus the 10. All right. Well, busy week for us. Hope you've enjoyed the content. A busy weekend upcoming, and I'm sure we will find a way to talk about it all or some of it. We appreciate you sticking with us and staying tuned in. If you made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back, and then make sure to share the show, subscribe, like, give us a rating, however you listen to us. Let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. on social media. You can find us on Twitter via the Black College Sports Network at my BCSN1, the number 1. You can find Drew at BCSN Drew, DREW, or find me at DRB365. And make sure to donate. myjbn.com/support is how you can donate to this show. Every $5, every cup of coffee, whatever you want to choose to share with us, helps us along the path that we're on. And we appreciate it all. So that's going to do it for this show. Just got a final from Grambling and Southern that went into overtime. Grambling advances to the semifinal of the SWAC. Great game between Grambling and Southern. All right, so plenty of more basketball. We want to hear from you, find out what you're watching. I'm sure, hopefully, more teams stay safe. We don't get any teams that get knocked out due to COVID. That's what we're hoping. Nobody suffers anymore. We're not celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the day that sports stopped because we have sports to celebrate. So we're not going to dwell on the negative past. So stay safe out there. For A.D. Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. Thanks for listening and tuning in to the BCSN Sports Wrap. We are out.
I'll holla.
But my beats, they are hard.